He cheated first, so why does it hurt when I do it back? The floral arrangement waiting on my doorstep is like a punch to the gut. 24 perfect red roses, wrapped in crisp paper, with a ribbon the exact shade of burgundy as the dress I wore on our first date. The dress, Riku said, made me look like a dream. I stand frozen, keys dangling from my fingers, staring at this beautiful peace offering. A gift meant to erase the image permanently seared into my brain. Riku, my boyfriend of 3 years, pressed against his coworker in the supply closet of his office, her lipstick smudged across his mouth, his hands where they had no business being. A gift meant to make me forget how I stood there, folder of lunch plans and surprise concert tickets clutched to my chest, watching through the crack in the door as he whispered things against her neck that he used to whisper against mine. The card tucked among the blooms reads simply, "I'm sorry, please call me R." I pick up the vase with careful hands, carry it inside my apartment, and walk straight to the kitchen. Without hesitation, I upend the entire arrangement into the garbage disposal and flip the switch. The grinding sound as the roses are shredded is immensely satisfying. My phone buzzes for the 100th time today. Another text from Riku. "Did you get the flowers? Please talk to me." I delete it without responding, just like all the others. He doesn't deserve my words. Not yet. Maybe not ever. "You should at least let him explain," my roommate May suggests from her perch on our couch, watching me with concern as I aggressively chop vegetables for dinner. 3 years is a long time to throw away without hearing him out. I bring the knife down hard on an innocent carrot. "There's nothing to explain. I saw them, May, with my own eyes." "People make mistakes," she offers weakly. "A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk on the way home," I counter, scraping the vegetables into a pan with more force than necessary. "A mistake is not having your tongue down your coworker's throat while your girlfriend is bringing you lunch." May winces. "Okay, fair point." "Besides," I continue, the anger I've been nursing for 3 days bubbling to the surface, "this isn't about forgiveness. It's about the fact that I stood there like an idiot, watching him betray me, and all I could think was, what did I do wrong?" I hate that part most of all, the instinctive way my mind immediately turned the blame inward, searching for my own failures that might have driven him to another woman. "That's not how this works," I say, more to myself than to May. "I'm not going to be that girl who falls apart because some guy couldn't keep it in his pants. I deserve better." May studies me for a moment. "So what are you going to do?" The question hangs in the air as I stir the vegetables, watching them sizzle. What am I going to do? Cry? Hide? Beg him to love me again? No, none of those things feel right. "I don't know yet," I admit, but I'm done being the one who gets hurt. My phone buzzes again. This time it's not Riku. The name that flashes on the screen triggers a completely different reaction. A strange flutter somewhere between my ribs. Kaito. "Heard what happened. Want to get a drink and talk about what an asshole my best friend is?" Kaito. Riku's best friend since college. The guy who's always been a little too attentive, a little too quick with a compliment, a little too intense when our eyes meet across crowded rooms. I stare at his message, a plan slowly forming in my mind. If Riku wants to play games, maybe it's time I learned the rules. "Actually," I tell May, a smile spreading across my face for the first time in days, "I think I do know what I'm going to do." I pick up my phone and type a reply to Kaito. "Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., that bar on 7th, don't tell Riku." His response is immediate. "Wouldn't dream of it." What are you doing?" May asks, eyeing me warily. "That's Kaito, right? Riku's friend?" "Best friend," I correct her, feeling something dark and satisfying unfurl in my chest. "And I'm not doing anything, yet." The bar on 7th is dimly lit and busy for a Thursday night, music thrumming just loud enough that people need to lean in close to hear each other talk. Perfect. I'm 15 minutes late by design, wanting to make an entrance rather than be caught waiting. I've put effort into my appearance tonight. The black dress that hugs every curve, hair loose and wavy the way I know it looks best, lips painted a shade of red that demands attention. I spot Kaito immediately, sitting at the bar, his profile illuminated by the soft overhead lights. He's always been good-looking in an effortless way that makes other men seem like they're trying too hard. Dark hair that falls across his forehead, strong jaw, shoulders that fill out his button-down shirt, with the sleeves rolled to expose forearms corded with lean muscle. He looks up as if sensing my presence, and his eyes widen almost imperceptibly before his mouth curves into a smile. He stands as I approach, his gaze traveling from my face down to my heels and back again in a slow, appreciative sweep that makes my skin warm. Yuna, he says, and something about the way he says my name has always felt different from how other people say it. You look amazing. Thanks, I reply, sliding onto the bar stool next to him. I needed that tonight. Kaito signals the bartender. What are you drinking? Something strong. He nods in understanding and orders 2 whiskeys neat. When they arrive, he lifts his glass toward mine. To new beginnings? I clink my glass against his. To getting what you deserve. The whiskey burns pleasantly on the way down, warming me from the inside. I set the glass back on the bar, conscious of Kaito watching me. So, he says after a moment, how are you really doing? It's a loaded question, heavy with 3 years of history and 3 days of pain. I consider lying, putting on the brave face I've been wearing for the world, but something about Kaito's direct gaze makes me want to tell the truth. I'm angry, I admit, and hurt, and embarrassed, and confused. Part of me wants to scream at him until my voice gives out, and part of me wants to know what I did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, Kaito says immediately, his voice firm. Riku's an idiot. You're his best friend, I point out. Shouldn't you be defending him, telling me it was a one-time mistake and he loves me? Kaito swirls the amber liquid in his glass, his expression unreadable. I've been Riku's friend since we were 18. That doesn't mean I think he's right about everything. He takes a sip of his whiskey. And cheating on you? That's the stupidest thing he's ever done. There's something in his tone that makes me look at him more closely. Why did you ask me here, Kaito? Really? His eyes meet mine, dark and intense. Because I thought you might need someone to talk to who isn't going to push you to forgive him before you're ready. Or ever. And you're volunteering for that position. I'm here, aren't I? I study him, trying to decipher his motivation. Kaito has always been somewhat of an enigma. Riku's charismatic, slightly dangerous friend who seems to exist just at the edges of my relationship. Always present, always watching, but never quite involved. What does Riku think you're doing tonight? I ask. Kaito's mouth quirks up at one corner. He thinks I'm at a work dinner, so you lied to him. I omitted, he corrects, leaning slightly closer. Besides, this conversation isn't about Riku. It's about you. Is it? I counter, emboldened by the whiskey and the heady feeling of doing something I shouldn't. Because it feels like it might be about something else entirely. Kaito holds my gaze, neither confirming nor denying my implication. Instead, he asks, what do you want, Yuna? Right now, in this moment, what would make you feel better? The question catches me off guard. What do I want? To hurt Riku the way he hurt me. To prove I don't need him. To feel desired and powerful instead of discarded and broken. And suddenly, looking at Kaito, at this man who has always seemed to want what he couldn't have, I know exactly how to get all of those things at once. Take a picture with me, I say, pulling out my phone. He raises an eyebrow, clearly not expecting that response. A picture? For Instagram, I clarify, opening the app, where I have about 300 mutual friends with Riku, including his entire office. Understanding dawns on Kaito's face, followed by a slow smile that carries a hint of admiration. Ah, now I see. Is that a problem? I challenge. Being seen with me? Not at all, he says, moving closer until our shoulders are touching. In fact, I can't think of anything I'd rather do. I position the camera, angling it to capture both our faces and the intimate setting. At the last second, Kaito turns his head slightly toward mine, his lips close to my ear as if he's whispering something private, his smile suggesting whatever he's saying is making me laugh. The resulting photo is perfect. We look like a couple deeply engaged in each other's company, his attention focused entirely on me, my expression bright and carefree. How's that? Kaito asks, his breath warm against my skin before he pulls back. Perfect, I say, adding a vague caption about good company and better whiskey before posting it to my story. And now we wait. We don't have to wait long. Within 10 minutes, my phone buzzes with a text from Riku. Are you with Kaito right now? I show the message to Kaito, whose smile turns wolfish. Looks like someone's paying attention to your social media, he observes. Good, I say, silencing my phone and slipping it back into my purse without responding. Let him wonder. You know, Kaito says, signaling for another round, if you really want to sell this, we should probably be seen together more than once. I look at him, trying to read his intentions. Are you suggesting we keep this going? He shrugs, but there's nothing casual about the intensity in his eyes. I'm suggesting that one drink isn't going to have the impact you're looking for. If you want Riku to really understand what he's lost, it's going to take more than one Instagram story. And you're willing to help with that? I ask, suspicious of his motives, but intrigued by the possibility. Why would you do that to your best friend? Kaido leans closer, his voice dropping low enough that I have to lean in to hear him over the music. Maybe I have my own reasons. Such as. His eyes drop briefly to my lips before returning to meet my gaze. Maybe I think he didn't appreciate what he had. Maybe I think you deserve someone who does. My heart beats faster at his words, at the implication behind them. This is dangerous territory, and a smarter woman would back away now. But I'm tired of being smart. I'm tired of being good. I'm tired of being the one who gets left behind. Okay, I say, making my decision. Let's give Riku something to think about. Kaito's smile is slow and promising. I thought you'd never ask. By the time we leave the bar 3 hours later, we've taken 2 more photos. One of us clinking glasses, our fingers brushing, and another selfie where Kaito's arm is draped casually across the back of my chair, his body angled toward mine. Both are now posted on my Instagram story, ensuring that Riku and everyone we know has seen them. My phone has been buzzing continuously, but I've ignored it completely, focusing instead on Kaito, on the surprisingly easy conversation between us, on the way his attention makes me feel visible and valued in a way I hadn't realized I was missing. Outside the bar, the night air is cool against my heated skin. I'm pleasantly buzzed from the whiskey and the dangerous thrill of whatever game we've started. I'll walk you home, Kaito says, not a question, but a statement of fact. I can get a cab, I protest weakly. I'm sure you can, he replies, already guiding me with a light touch at the small of my back. But that wouldn't give us a chance to discuss phase 2 of our plan. There's a phase 2. His smile is enigmatic. There's always a phase 2, Yuna. We walk in companionable silence for a block before I ask. So what is it? Phase 2? Kaito glances at me, his expression thoughtful. That depends on what you want the end result to be. Are you trying to make Riku jealous enough to fight for you? Or are you trying to show him that you've moved on completely? It's a good question, one I haven't fully answered for myself. I'm not sure, I admit. I just know I don't want to be the only one hurting. Kaito nods, understanding without judgment. Either way, we need to be convincing, which means we need a story. A story? About us, he clarifies. How this happened, when it started, what it means. People will ask questions, not just Riku, but everyone. We need to have the same answers. He's right, of course. If we're going to sell this, whatever this is, we need to be on the same page. What do you suggest? Kaito thinks for a moment. The simplest stories are the most believable. We've known each other for years through Riku. We always got along. After you found out what he did, I reached out to check on you because I was concerned. One thing led to another. That's basically the truth, I point out. The best lies always are, he replies with a small smile. We just accelerate the timeline a bit. We're approaching my apartment building now, and I find myself walking more slowly, reluctant for the evening to end. And what about details? If people ask how involved we are? Kaito stops walking, turning to face me fully. The streetlight casts shadows across his features, making him look both more mysterious and more vulnerable somehow. That's up to you, Yuna. How convincing do you want to be? There's a weight to his question that makes my pulse quicken. I want it to be believable, I say carefully. He takes a step closer, close enough that I can feel the warmth radiating from him in the cool night air. Then we should probably give them something to talk about. My breath catches as he raises a hand, fingers lightly tracing my cheek. Is this okay? He asks, his voice low. I should say no. I should step back, thank him for the drinks, tell him this was a fun idea, but we shouldn't take it further. I should be the sensible, moral person I've always been. Instead, I nod once, my eyes never leaving his. Kaito leans in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. When his lips meet mine, the kiss is gentle, almost tentative, a question rather than a demand. Then his hand slides into my hair, tilting my head slightly, and the kiss deepens into something else entirely. Something that sends heat spiraling through me, making me clutch at his shoulders for balance. He tastes like whiskey and possibility, his mouth moving against mine with a confidence that makes me forget this is supposed to be pretend. I kiss him back with a fervor that surprises even me, weeks of hurt and anger and confusion channeling into this one reckless moment. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. Kaito's eyes are darker than usual, his expression a mixture of satisfaction and surprise, as if he hadn't expected that level of response. "Well," he says, his voice slightly rough, "I think that was convincing enough." Reality crashes back, and I take a small step away, straightening my dress with hands that aren't entirely steady. "Right, for the plan." Kaito watches me, something unreadable flickering in his expression. Of course, an awkward silence stretches between us, filled with things neither of us is ready to acknowledge. "I should go up," I finally say, gesturing vaguely toward my building. He nods, clearing his throat. "Sure, I'll, text you about phase 2. "Okay, and Kaito, yeah?" "Thank you, for tonight. It was exactly what I needed." His smile is softer now, more genuine. "Anytime, Yuna. I mean that." I watch him walk away, my lips still tingling, my mind racing with questions I'm afraid to answer. This was supposed to be about hurting Riku, about taking back some power in a situation where I felt powerless. So why does it suddenly feel like something else entirely? And why, when I check my phone in the elevator and see 17 missed calls and texts from Riku, do I feel nothing but a distant annoyance at the interruption? By morning, the fallout is spectacular. My phone is flooded with messages, not just from Riku, whose texts have evolved from confused to angry to borderline desperate, but from mutual friends, co-workers, even his cousin who I met exactly twice at family gatherings. Everyone wants to know the same thing: what's going on with me and Kaito? May eyes me over her coffee mug as I scroll through the messages at our kitchen counter. "So," she says, drawing the word out, "I take it the revenge plot is working?" I show her my phone screen, where Riku's latest text glares accusingly. "How could you do this, with Kaito of all people? You know how he is. Call me now." May whistles low. "Wow, he's pissed." "Good," I say, setting my phone down and reaching for my own coffee. Now he knows how it feels. "And the kiss?" she asks, raising an eyebrow. "Was that part of the plan too?" I nearly choke on my coffee. "How did you—" "Please," she scoffs. "I was watching from the window. You two were putting on quite the show under that streetlight." Heat rises to my cheeks at the memory of Kaito's lips on mine, his hand in my hair, the solid warmth of his chest under my palms. "It was just to make it convincing," I mumble. "Uh-huh," May says, clearly unconvinced. "And did it convince you? What's that supposed to mean?" She fixes me with a knowing look. "It means that Kaito has been looking at you like you hung the moon since the first time Riku brought him around. And now you're playing with fire and pretending you won't get burned." "It's not like that," I protest. "We're just creating a scenario that gives Riku a taste of his own medicine. By making out with his best friend?" Put that way, it does sound more complicated than I want to admit. "It was one kiss. A very thorough one," May notes dryly. Before I can formulate a proper defense, my phone buzzes with a new message. From Kaito this time. "Riku's been calling me nonstop. I haven't answered. How do you want to play this?" I stare at the message, reality settling over me like a cold blanket. This isn't just a game anymore. We're actually hurting people. Riku, yes, but potentially Kaito too. And maybe even myself. "I don't know what I'm doing," I admit to May, suddenly overwhelmed. Her expression softens. "Of course you don't. You just caught your boyfriend cheating 3 days ago. No one expects you to have it all figured out." "I just wanted to stop feeling like a victim," I say, hating the way my voice cracks. "I wanted to take back some control." "And did it work?" she asks gently. I think about last night, the whiskey, the photos, the walk home, the kiss. None of it erased the image of Riku with his coworker. None of it healed the broken trust or the wounded pride. But for a few hours, I'd felt something other than pain. Something that felt dangerously close to possibility. "I don't know," I answer honestly, "but I think I want to find out." I pick up my phone and type a reply to Kaito. "Cafe on 3rd Street, noon. Very public. Lots of people from Riku's office go there for lunch. Let's give them something to see." His response is immediate. "I'll be there. Wear something that makes you smile when you catch your reflection. You deserve that." I show the message to May, who reads it with raised eyebrows. "That," she says pointedly, "does not sound like a man who's just helping you make his best friend jealous." "It's not—" "Stop," she interrupts. "I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, be careful, not just with Riku's feelings, but with your own. And with Kaito's." I nod, a knot forming in my stomach. "I will." But as I get ready for my lunch date, carefully selecting a sunny yellow dress that does, in fact, make me smile when I see my reflection, I can't help wondering if I've already crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. And more disturbingly, if I even want to go back. The cafe is bustling when I arrive, right at the height of the lunch rush. I spot 3 people I recognize from Riku's office immediately, their curious glances following me as I weave between tables toward the back. Kaito is already there, seated at a small table by the window, where we'll be clearly visible from both inside and outside the cafe. He stands as I approach, and the smile that spreads across his face seems too genuine to be just for show. "You look beautiful," he says, and the simple compliment shouldn't affect me the way it does, sending warmth cascading through my chest. "Thank you," I reply, suddenly shy in a way I've never been around him before. "Yellow's my favorite color." "I know," he says, pulling out my chair. At my surprised look, he adds, "You wore a yellow scarf the first time we met, at that holiday party 3 years ago. I asked if you were trying to outshine the Christmas lights." I blink, taken aback by his memory. "You remember that?" Something flickers in his eyes. "I remember a lot of things, Yuna." Before I can process what that might mean, he gestures to the cup in front of me. "I ordered your usual vanilla latte with an extra shot, right?" "Right," I confirm, again surprised that he knows this detail about me. We slip into easy conversation, and I find myself relaxing despite the occasional buzzing of my phone in my purse, which I steadfastly ignore. Kaito tells me about his work as an architect, his eyes lighting up as he describes a sustainable housing project he's passionate about. I share stories from my job at the publishing house, including a disastrous manuscript I've been trying to salvage for weeks. It's so natural, so comfortable, that I almost forget we're supposed to be putting on a show until Kaito reaches across the table and takes my hand, his thumb tracing small circles on my skin. "Don't look now," he murmurs. But Riku's assistant just walked in. She's trying very hard to pretend she's not staring at us. My pulse jumps, both from the information and from the contact of his warm hand against mine. "What should we do?" Kaito's smile turns mischievous. Laugh like I just said something charming and hilarious. I do as instructed, leaning forward slightly and letting out a bright laugh that's only partially forced. Kaito responds by bringing my hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to my knuckles while maintaining eye contact. The gesture is so unexpectedly tender that my laughter fades, replaced by something that feels dangerously like yearning. "Was that convincing enough?" I ask, my voice not quite steady. "Almost," he says, his eyes dropping to my lips for a brief, scorching moment. "But I think we can do better." He leans across the small table, closing the distance between us until our faces are inches apart. "May I?" he asks softly. I nod, my heart hammering against my ribs as he presses his lips to mine in a kiss that's briefer than last night's, but somehow more intimate for being so public. When he pulls back, his eyes search mine, and I wonder if he can see the confusion I'm feeling, the way this game is rapidly becoming something I don't fully understand. "That should give them plenty to talk about," he says, his voice rougher than usual. I take a sip of my latte to hide my flustered reaction, nearly spilling it when my phone buzzes again, this time with an incoming call from Riku. I show the screen to Kaito. "You should answer it," he suggests, surprising me. "Let him hear how happy you sound." I hesitate, then nod, accepting the call and bringing the phone to my ear. "Hello, Riku." "Where are you?" he demands without preamble, his voice tight with anger. "We need to talk, Yuna, in person, not through whatever game you're playing with Kaito." I keep my voice deliberately light, aware of Kaito watching me. "I'm having lunch, and I'm not playing games. That was your specialty, remember?" "This isn't funny," Riku snaps. You and Kaito can't." He breaks off, apparently too angry to form complete sentences. "He's using you to get back at me for something. You know that, right?" The accusation stings more than it should. "The way you used your coworker to cheat on me? That was different. It was a mistake, Yuna. One time, and I regretted it immediately." "I caught you," I remind him, my voice hardening. "You didn't confess. You didn't stop on your own. You got caught." Across the table, Kaito's expression has grown serious, watchful. "Please," Riku says, his tone shifting to something closer to pleading. "Just meet me. Talk to me. Whatever you think is happening with Kaito, it's not real. It can't be." "Why not?" I challenge, the question escaping before I can think better of it. There's a pause on the other end of the line. Because you're mine, Yuna." The possessive statement, which might once have made me feel secure, now only fuels my anger. "I'm not yours, Riku. Not anymore. You gave up that right when you decided someone else was worth risking what we had. Yuna, I have to go, I interrupt, suddenly exhausted by the conversation. My date is waiting. I end the call before he can respond, setting my phone face down on the table with hands that aren't entirely steady. You okay? Kaito asks quietly. I nod, not trusting my voice immediately. After a moment, I manage. He said you're using me to get back at him for something. Is that true? Kaito's expression turns guarded. Riku and I have a complicated history. That's not an answer. He sighs, running a hand through his hair. It's not that simple, Yuna. Yes, Riku and I have had our disagreements over the years, but that's not why I'm here with you. Then why are you? I press. What do you get out of this arrangement? Kaito looks at me for a long moment, his dark eyes unreadable. Finally, he says, maybe we should continue this conversation somewhere more private. I glance around, suddenly remembering that we're in a very public place, likely being watched by several pairs of curious eyes. My apartment is empty until tonight. May's at work. He nods, signaling for the check. Lead the way. The walk to my apartment is quiet, tension thrumming between us. I'm acutely conscious of Kaito beside me, of the questions hanging in the air, of the way this situation has rapidly spiraled beyond my control. Inside my apartment, the silence grows heavier. I set my purse down and turn to face Kaito, who's standing in the middle of my living room looking more uncertain than I've ever seen him. So, I say, crossing my arms, what's the real story between you and Riku? Kaito exhales slowly. We've been friends since college, roommates, teammates, practically brothers, but there's always been a competitive element to our relationship. Competitive how? His mouth twists into a rueful smile. Riku likes to win, at everything, and I've usually been content to let him. Usually, Kaito meets my eyes, something vulnerable flashing in his gaze. Not always. I take a step closer, my heart beating faster. And is that what this is? Another competition? Another game you're playing with each other, with me as the prize? No, he says firmly. That's not what this is. At least not for me. Then what is it? I demand. Frustration and confusion making my voice sharper than intended. Because I thought we were clear. This was about making Riku jealous, about me taking back some control, but it feels like there's something you're not telling me. Kaito runs both hands through his hair, his expression troubled. You're right. There is. He takes a deep breath, as if steeling himself for something difficult. The truth is, I've had feelings for you since the day we met. At that holiday party, when you were wearing that yellow scarf and laughing at something Riku said. I took one look at you and thought, oh, there you are. The confession lands like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. What? But you were with Riku, he continues, words tumbling out now as if he's been holding them back for too long. My best friend, the guy who's had my back since we were 18. So I stepped aside. I was the supportive friend, the third wheel, the guy who made jokes and never let on that every time I saw you two together, it felt like someone was twisting a knife in my chest. I stare at him, speechless, trying to recontextualize 3 years of interactions through this new lens. When you told me what Riku did, Kaito says, his voice softening, part of me was angry on your behalf, but another part, a part I'm not proud of, was relieved. Because maybe finally I could stop pretending I didn't want what he had. Why didn't you tell me this before? I ask, finding my voice at last. Why agree to this fake relationship charade if your feelings are real? He laughs, but there's no humor in it. Because I'll take you any way I can get you, Yuna. Even if it's just pretend. Even if it's just to make him jealous. Pathetic, right? No, I whisper, moved by his honesty. Not pathetic. We stand there, the air between us charged with unspoken possibilities. I think about the last few days. The hurt of Riku's betrayal. The unexpected comfort of Kaito's presence. The surprising heat of his kisses. I think about 3 years of interactions I'm now seeing in a completely different light. I don't know what to do with this information, I admit finally. Kaito takes a cautious step toward me. You don't have to do anything. We can go back to the original plan. Make Riku jealous. Show him what he lost. No strings attached. And what about your feelings? I ask. Your real ones? His smile is sad, but genuine. I've been managing them for 3 years, Yuna. I can keep managing them now. Something about his resigned acceptance breaks my heart a little. Before I can overthink it, I close the distance between us and place my hand on his chest, feeling his heart race beneath my palm. What if I don't want you to? I ask quietly. Kaito goes still, his eyes searching mine. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm confused about everything, about Riku, about you, about what I want. I take a shaky breath. But I know that when you kiss me, I don't think about him, and maybe that means something. Hope flickers across his face, quickly tempered with caution. Yuna, you're hurt and angry right now. I don't want to be your rebound. You're not, I assure him, though even I'm not entirely certain what this is. You're something else. Something I want to figure out, if you're willing to be patient with me. His hand comes up to cover mine where it rests on his chest. I've waited 3 years, he says simply. I think I can manage a little longer. The tension between us shifts, transforming into something warm and tentative. Not quite resolution, but possibility. So what now? I ask. Kaito thinks for a moment. Now, we take this at your pace. No pressure, no expectations. And if you decide you want to go back to Riku, or that you don't want either of us, I'll respect that. His consideration, his willingness to put my needs first, touches me deeply. It's so different from Riku's possessive, "you're mine," that the contrast is startling. Thank you, I say softly, for being honest with me and for understanding. He nods, then glances at his watch. I should probably go. He nods, then glances at his watch. I should probably go, give you some space to process. Part of me wants him to stay, to continue this conversation, to maybe explore the electricity that seems to spark between us. But he's right. I need time to think, to untangle the mess of emotions inside me. Okay, I agree, but I'll see you soon? His smile warms his entire face. Definitely. After he leaves, I sink onto my couch, mind reeling from everything that's happened. My phone buzzes again, another text from Riku, I assume, but I ignore it, too overwhelmed to deal with him right now. Instead, I call the one person who always helps me see clearly. Hey, Mom, I say when she answers. Got a minute to talk? An hour later, after pouring out the whole complicated story to my mother, well, most of it, I omit some details about the kissing, I feel marginally more centered. Her advice, as always, was practical. Take time for myself. Don't make decisions from a place of hurt. Be honest, with Riku, with Kaito, but most importantly, with myself. Just remember, she said before hanging up, sometimes the universe has strange ways of putting us where we need to be, even if it hurts to get there. I'm pondering her words when May returns from work, dropping her bag by the door and eyeing me curiously. So, she says, flopping onto the couch beside me. How was your very public lunch date? I give her a brief rundown of the cafe, Riku's call, and the subsequent revelations in our apartment. Wait, she interrupts, sitting up straighter. Kaito told you he's been in love with you for 3 years? While his best friend was dating you? That's intense. He didn't say love, I correct her, though the distinction feels irrelevant somehow. May waves this off. Semantics. The point is, this went from fake revenge dating to real feelings really fast. I know, I groan, burying my face in a throw pillow. What am I supposed to do now? I still haven't even properly dealt with Riku's cheating, and now there's this whole other situation. Do you like him? May asks directly. Kaito, I mean, not just as Riku's friend or as a revenge tool, but as himself. It's the question I've been avoiding, even in my own thoughts. I think, maybe I do? When I'm with him, I feel seen. Like he's actually paying attention to who I am, not just who he wants me to be. And was that a problem with Riku? She probes gently. I consider this. Memories from the past year surfacing. Riku forgetting important events. Dismissing my career ambitions as cute. Spending increasingly less time engaging with my interests while expecting me to be endlessly supportive of his. I didn't think so, I say slowly. But looking back, maybe it was. Maybe I just didn't want to see it. May nods, unsurprised. From the outside, it was pretty obvious that things weren't perfect, even before the cheating. But you needed to realize that yourself. So what do I do now? She pats my knee sympathetically. First, you need to deal with Riku. Really deal with him. Not just ignore his calls while making out with his best friend. I wince at her bluntness. And then? Then you figure out if what you're feeling for Kaito is real, or if it's just a reaction to being hurt by Riku. She stands, heading toward the kitchen. But maybe start with a good night's sleep. Everything looks clearer in the morning. As I get ready for bed that night, my phone chimes with a text from Kaito. No pressure. Just wanted to say I meant everything I said today. Sleep well, Yuna. The simple message brings a smile to my face and a warmth to my chest that feels dangerously like hope. The next morning, I wake with a clarity I haven't felt since discovering Riku's betrayal. May is right. I need to face him, to bring proper closure to our relationship before I can move forward with anyone else, including Kaito. I text Riku. We need to talk. My place, 2 p.m. His response is immediate. I'll be there. I spend the morning cleaning the apartment, a nervous habit, and trying to organize my thoughts. By the time Riku knocks on my door precisely at 2, I'm calm and resolved. He looks terrible. Hair uncombed, dark circles under his eyes, wearing the same sweatshirt he's had since college. It's a far cry from his usual polished appearance. Yuna, he says, relief evident in his voice. Thank you for— Come in, I interrupt, not wanting to get sidetracked by pleasantries. May's out so we can talk privately. He follows me to the living room, perching awkwardly on the edge of the couch, where just yesterday, Kaito stood and confessed his feelings. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm sorry, Riku begins immediately. What happened with Jen? It was a mistake. A stupid, meaningless mistake that I regret more than anything. It wasn't about you, or us, or any problems in our relationship. It was just a moment of weakness. I study him, searching for the man I thought I knew, the one I've spent 3 years building a life with. How long? He blinks, caught off guard. What? How long has it been going on, with Jen? Was it really just once? Riku looks down at his hands. It started about 2 months ago. But it didn't mean anything, I swear. It was just physical. The confirmation is like a fresh blow, even though I'd suspected as much. 2 months, 8 weeks of lies, of coming home to me after being with her, of building a future with me while secretly undermining its foundation. Why? I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. If you were unhappy, why not just tell me? I wasn't unhappy, he insists, looking up at me with pleading eyes. I love you, Yuna. I've always loved you. I made a mistake. A 2-month mistake, I clarify. That only ended because I caught you. He has the grace to look ashamed. I was going to end it. I just hadn't figured out how. I shake my head, a bitter laugh escaping me. Do you hear yourself? You're not even taking full responsibility. It's all excuses and justifications. That's not fair, he protests. I'm trying to be honest with you now. Now, I repeat. After being dishonest for months. After I caught you. After I started seeing Kaito. At the mention of Kaito, Riku's expression darkens. Is that really happening? You and him? I consider the question, weighing honesty against the temptation to hurt him further. I don't know what it is yet, I admit, but I do know that he's been more honest with me in 2 days than you've been in 2 months. He has his own agenda, Riku warns. You don't know him like I do. Maybe not, I acknowledge, but I'm starting to think I didn't really know you either. Riku stands, agitated. Look, I know I screwed up, badly. But what we had, 3 years, Yuna, that has to count for something. We can fix this. Go to couples therapy, take some time apart if you need to, but don't throw everything away over one mistake. I rise too, needing to be on equal footing for what comes next. It wasn't one mistake, Riku. It was dozens of choices day after day to lie to me, to betray my trust. And now you want me to just move past it, pretend it didn't happen? Not pretend, he argues. Process, heal, forgive. The audacity of his expectations stokes the anger I've been carefully controlling. You don't get to dictate how I respond to your betrayal. You lost that right when you decided our relationship wasn't worth being faithful to. So that's it? He demands, hurt and anger mixing in his voice. 3 years, over just like that. You ended it, I tell him firmly. The moment you started something with Jen. I'm just making it official. He stares at me, anger giving way to desperation. And what about Kaito? Is he worth throwing everything away for? A guy you barely know? This isn't about Kaito, I insist, though even to my own ears it's not entirely convincing. This is about the fact that I don't trust you anymore. And without trust, we have nothing. Riku's shoulders slump, defeat finally setting in. I love you, Yuna. I know I messed up, but I've never stopped loving you. The words that once would have melted my heart now only deepen my resolve. Sometimes love isn't enough, Riku. Not when it comes with lies. He nods slowly, accepting at last that this conversation won't end as he hoped. Can I at least have the closure of knowing if what's happening with you and Kaito is real? Or was it just to hurt me? I owe him at least this much honesty. It started as a way to take back some control, to make you feel a fraction of what I was feeling. But now, I don't know what it is. I just know I want to find out. and I can't do that while I'm still tied to you. Pain flashes across his face, but he nods again. I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. He moves toward the door, then pauses, turning back with one last question. Does he make you happy? Happier than I did? It's a weighted question, one designed to provoke guilt, but I refuse to take the bait. I don't know yet, but what I do know is that I deserve the chance to find out what happiness looks like without the shadow of betrayal hanging over me. Riku absorbs this, then leaves without another word, the door closing behind him with a soft click that somehow feels more final than a slam would have. I stand there for a long moment, waiting for the rush of grief that should accompany the end of a 3-year relationship. It doesn't come. Instead, I feel something closer to relief, like setting down a heavy backpack I didn't realize I'd been carrying. I send a text to Kaito. I just ended things with Riku, officially. Can we talk? His response comes quickly. My place? I'll cook dinner. The simple offer, no pressure, no expectations, just the promise of food and conversation, brings the first genuine smile to my face in what feels like days. I'll be there at 7, I reply. Kaito's apartment is exactly what I would have expected. Modern but comfortable, with clean lines softened by personal touches. Architectural drawings framed on walls, bookshelves filled with an eclectic mix of titles, a guitar in the corner. It feels lived in, thoughtful, like every item has been chosen with care. Welcome to my humble abode, he says, gesturing me inside with a slight nervousness I find endearing. Dinner's almost ready. I hope you like pasta. Love it, I assure him, following him to the kitchen where the warm scent of garlic and tomatoes fills the air. Can I help with anything? He hands me a corkscrew and a bottle of red wine. You can open this while I finish the sauce. We work in comfortable silence for a few minutes, me pouring wine into glasses, him stirring and seasoning a pot of rich tomato sauce. It feels strangely domestic, eerily comfortable for two people who have never spent time alone together like this before. How are you doing? He asks finally, glancing at me as he drains pasta at the sink. With everything that happened today. I take a sip of wine, considering my answer. Better than I expected, actually. It feels right, ending things with Riku, like it was long overdue, even before I caught him cheating. Kaito nods, plating the pasta and sauce with the care of someone who enjoys cooking. I'm sorry it had to end that way. Despite everything, I know he was important to you. His consideration, his ability to acknowledge my history with Riku without jealousy or resentment, touches me. Thank you for understanding that it's complicated. He leads me to a small dining table already set with candles and simple place settings. Complicated is okay. Life usually is. Over dinner, we talk about everything and nothing. Our jobs, our families, favorite books and movies, travel dreams. The conversation flows as easily as the wine. No awkward pauses or forced topics. I find myself laughing more than I have in weeks, relaxing into a comfort that feels both new and familiar. Tell me something I don't know about you, I request, as we move to his couch after dinner, fresh glasses of wine in hand. Something Riku doesn't know either. Kaito thinks for a moment, his expression turning contemplative. I almost dropped out of college sophomore year, he says finally. I had this idea that I wanted to travel, just backpack around the world and draw the buildings I saw. Figure out what architecture really meant to me outside of textbooks. Why didn't you? I ask, genuinely curious. He smiles ruefully. My dad got sick, nothing terminal, but bad enough that I needed to stay close to home. By the time he recovered, I was too deep into my degree to quit. Do you regret it, not going? Sometimes, he admits. But I've built a good life here, and there's still time for traveling. The simple honesty in his answer, the absence of bitterness despite the postponed dream, strikes me. It's so different from how Riku talks about his life, always focused on achievements, on external validation, on the next goal. Your turn, Kaito says, leaning back against the couch cushions. Tell me something I don't know about you. I consider what to share, what part of myself to offer that I haven't already. I write poetry, I say finally, not just editing other people's words at the publishing house, but my own. I've never shown anyone, not even Riku, especially not Riku. Why not? I trace the rim of my wine glass, organizing my thoughts. It felt too exposed, like if I showed him and he didn't like it, or worse, didn't get it, it would somehow diminish what the words meant to me. Kaito studies me, his expression thoughtful. Would you ever let me read them, your poems? The question should make me retreat, raise my defenses. But something about the way he asks, curious but not demanding, interested but not entitled, makes me consider it. Maybe someday, I say, surprising myself with how much I mean it. He smiles, accepting this without pushing. I'd be honored whenever you're ready. The conversation meanders from there, touching on childhood memories, professional frustrations, the small joys and disappointments that shape a life. Hours pass without either of us noticing, until I glance at my watch and am startled to see it's well past midnight. I should go, I say reluctantly. Early meeting tomorrow. Kaido nods, standing to walk me to the door. Thanks for coming tonight, for giving this, whatever this is, a chance. In the dimly lit entryway of his apartment, we stand facing each other, the air between us charged with possibility. I'm acutely aware of his proximity, of the way his eyes drop briefly to my lips before meeting my gaze again. Yuna, he says softly, I want to kiss you, but I need to know it's because you want me to, not because of Riku, or revenge, or anything else. The directness of his statement, the careful respect in his words, makes my decision easy. I step closer, resting my hands lightly on his chest. I want you to, I whisper. Unlike our previous kisses, which were performances for others, or born of confused impulses, this one is deliberate. His hands frame my face with gentle certainty as his lips meet mine, the kiss deep and unhurried, as if we have all the time in the world. It's a kiss without agenda or audience, just pure connection that sends warmth cascading through me. When we finally part, both slightly breathless, I can't help but smile. That was, yeah, he agrees, his own smile both wondering and satisfied. It was. He brushes a strand of hair from my face, his touch lingering. Take all the time you need, Yuna. I'm not going anywhere. The promise in his words, the patient certainty behind them, wraps around my heart like a protective shield. For the first time since discovering Riku's betrayal, I feel something close to peace. Good night, Kaito, I say, reluctantly stepping away. Good night, he replies, watching me until I reach the elevator at the end of the hall. As the doors close, I touch my fingers to my lips, still tingling from his kiss. Whatever this is between us, this tender, unexpected connection, it feels nothing like revenge anymore. It feels like beginning. The next week passes in a blur of work deadlines, late-night phone calls with Kaito, and the gradual dismantling of my life with Riku. He sends a friend to collect his things from my apartment while I'm at work. A small kindness I hadn't expected, sparing us both another painful confrontation. Our shared friends tiptoe around the situation, careful not to take sides too obviously, though I notice several of them watching me with newfound respect. As if surviving betrayal and choosing my own happiness has somehow made me more interesting, more three-dimensional in their eyes. Kaito and I take things slowly, dinner at my place, lunch in the park, a quiet evening at a jazz club. Each date feels like uncovering another layer of a person who has been peripheral in my life for years, yet somehow remains full of surprises. We're careful not to flaunt our growing relationship in spaces where we might encounter Riku. Not out of shame, but out of respect for the complicated history between all of us. This isn't about hurting him anymore. It's about healing myself. By Friday, I'm exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of the past 2 weeks, but also strangely invigorated. I'm leaving work, looking forward to a quiet evening alone with a book and a bath, when I spot a familiar figure leaning against my car in the parking garage. Riku. My step falters briefly before I steel myself and continue walking. He straightens as I approach, his expression a mixture of determination and uncertainty. Before you say anything, he begins, holding up a hand as if to physically pause my objections. I'm not here to try to get you back. I just need to say some things I should have said before. I consider simply asking him to move away from my car, to have this conversation another time when I'm not so tired, but the sincerity in his eyes gives me pause. Okay, I say cautiously. I'm listening. He takes a deep breath. I've been doing a lot of thinking since we talked, about us, about what went wrong, about why I did what I did. He runs a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture I've seen countless times before. The truth is I've been selfish, for a long time, not just with the cheating. I took you for granted. I assumed you'd always be there, always understand, always forgive. And that wasn't fair to you. His admission catches me off guard. It's more self-aware than I expected, more honest about his own failings. I appreciate you saying that, I say carefully. It couldn't have been easy to realize. He gives a rueful smile. It wasn't. It took losing you to Kaito to make me see it. At the mention of Kaito, I tense slightly. Riku, it's okay, he interrupts. I'm not here to cause problems between you two. Actually, that's part of what I wanted to say. He pauses, seeming to gather his courage. Kaito's a good guy. Better than me in a lot of ways, if I'm being honest. And if he makes you happy, then I need to respect that. I stare at him, genuinely stunned by this unexpected graciousness. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he assures me. I just wanted you to know that I understand now, why we couldn't work things out, why you needed to move on, and I'm trying to do the same. There's something cathartic about this moment, this peaceful acknowledgement of an ending that once seemed impossible to navigate without permanent damage. Thank you, I say simply, for understanding and for telling me. Riku nods, then steps away from my car. I should go, let you get home. As he turns to leave, I find myself calling after him. Riku? He pauses, looking back. I hope you find what you're looking for, I say, meaning it more than I thought possible a week ago. Someone who helps you be your best self. A small, sad smile touches his lips. I hope so too. Goodbye, Yuna. I watch him walk away, a strange mixture of closure and melancholy settling over me. 3 years of my life walking away across a parking garage, but also 3 years of lessons learned, of growth that has led me to where I stand now. When I get home, I find a text from Kaito. My friend's art exhibition tomorrow night. Would you be my date? Fancy clothes and free wine included. I smile at my phone, typing back, I'd love to. Pick me up at 7. His response is immediate. It's a date. Wear that yellow dress I like. The fact that he has a yellow dress he likes, that he's noticed and remembered this small detail about me, makes my heart flutter in a way I'm no longer trying to suppress. The art gallery is crowded, the exhibition opening clearly a success for Kaito's friend, a sculptor whose work combines industrial materials with organic forms. Kaito and I move through the space hand in hand, pausing to admire pieces that catch our attention, sipping champagne from delicate flutes. What do you think of this one? Kaito asks, gesturing to a particularly striking sculpture, twisted metal and glass that somehow manages to look both fractured and perfectly balanced. I consider it, tilting my head to see it from different angles. It's beautiful, like something broken that's found a new way to be whole. Kaito looks at me with such warmth that I feel myself blushing. That's exactly what I thought, he says softly. Are you sure you're not secretly an art critic? I laugh, shaking my head. Just a girl with opinions. Strong opinions, he corrects, squeezing my hand. I like that about you. We continue our circuit of the gallery, stopping occasionally to chat with people Kaito knows. Each time, he introduces me with a simple, "This is Yuna," neither hiding our connection nor defining it with labels we haven't yet decided on. It's during one of these conversations that I spot them across the room, Riku and a woman I don't recognize, looking at a large installation near the bar. He hasn't seen us yet, engaged in conversation with his companion. Kaito follows my gaze, his hand tightening slightly around mine. We can leave if you want, he offers quietly. I consider it for a moment, then shake my head. No, it's fine. This was bound to happen eventually. Are you sure? I nod, surprisingly calm about the prospect of this first social encounter since our breakup. I'm sure. We're all adults. We can be in the same room. Kaito studies me with concern. If it gets uncomfortable at any point, just say the word and we're gone. No questions asked. His protectiveness, his prioritization of my comfort, reinforces my certainty that I'm exactly where I should be. I will, but I think it'll be okay. As if on cue, Riku looks up and spots us. There's a moment of frozen recognition before he gives a small, slightly awkward nod of acknowledgement. I return the gesture, and just like that, a new status quo is established. Civil distance, mutual recognition of the changed landscape between us. That wasn't so bad, I murmur to Kaito. He relaxes slightly beside me. No, it wasn't, though I half expected him to dump his drink on me. The night is young, I tease, feeling lighter now that the dreaded first encounter is behind us. Kaito laughs, the sound warm and genuine, always looking on the bright side. We spend another hour at the exhibition, carefully navigating the space to maintain a respectful distance from Riku, while still enjoying ourselves. By the time we leave, I realize I've barely thought about him, too engaged with Kaito and the art to dwell on the past. Outside, the night air is cool and refreshing after the crowded gallery. Kaito drapes his jacket over my shoulders, the gesture both chivalrous and intimate. Thank you for coming tonight. he says as we walk toward his car. I know it couldn't have been easy seeing Riku. Actually, it was easier than I expected, I admit. Maybe because I'm finally sure about where I stand. Kaito stops walking, turning to face me fully. And where is that exactly? In the gentle glow of the streetlights, his expression is open, vulnerable in a way that makes my heart ache with tenderness. This man who has waited patiently, who has offered friendship and support without demands, who has seen me at my most vengeful and my most uncertain. Right here, I say simply, with you. Not because I'm trying to hurt Riku, or because I'm rebounding, or because of some complicated history, just because you're you. And I'm starting to think that might be exactly what I need. The smile that spreads across his face is radiant, full of a joy so pure it takes my breath away. He pulls me close, one hand cradling the back of my head as he kisses me with an intensity that leaves no doubt about his feelings. When we finally break apart, both slightly breathless, he rests his forehead against mine. For the record, he murmurs, I think you might be exactly what I need too. In that moment, standing on a quiet street outside an art gallery, I realize something important. Sometimes the most unexpected paths lead us exactly where we need to be. What started as revenge has transformed into something I never could have anticipated, a chance at something real, something honest, something that feels like the beginning of a whole new story. He cheated first, it's true, but as Kaito takes my hand and leads me toward whatever comes next, I find I no longer care about the pain that brought us here. What matters is where we're going, together. 3 months later, Kaito and I stand together at the housewarming party for his newly renovated apartment. His arm rests comfortably around my waist as we chat with friends, both old and new. Across the room, I spot Riku with his new girlfriend, the woman from the art gallery, as it turns out. Our eyes meet briefly, and we exchange genuine smiles before returning to our separate conversations. The awkwardness has faded, replaced by a mutual understanding that sometimes relationships end so better ones can begin. Happy? Kaito whispers in my ear, his breath warm against my skin. I turn to look at him, this man who started as a tool for revenge and became the most honest relationship I've ever known. The man who reads my poetry now, who knows my fears and dreams, who challenges me to be better while loving me exactly as I am. Completely, I answer, reaching up to touch his face. Who would have thought that the worst betrayal of my life would lead me to the best thing that's ever happened to me? He smiles, pressing a kiss to my palm. I always knew, he confesses. From the first moment at that bar, when you were plotting revenge, but all I could think was, finally. As he leans down to kiss me, surrounded by people who have witnessed our unlikely journey from spite to love, I realize that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings are born from painful endings. He cheated first, yes, but in losing what I thought I wanted, I found what I truly needed all along. And that's a revenge sweeter than I ever could have planned.